is Charming Feng. Today I will be presenting about the comparative studies of the different construction standard form of contract. In Malaysia, there are a few standard form of contract commonly used in the construction industry. In this video, I will be presenting about the PWD 203A, PAM 2018, the Fitted Red Book, and the CIDB standard form of contract for building work 2000 edition. Each contract is required to appoint a contract administrator (CA) to administrative any affairs related to contract with the authorities granted under the contract. For PWD 203A and CIDB 2000, it is required to appoint a superintending officer or SO as a CA for the contract. While for the PAM contract, it is required to appoint an architect as a CA. For FIDIT, it is required to appoint an engineer as a CA to administrative the contract. The first issue for the comparative studies is site possession. The similarities for these contracts is the contractor is required to submit such important documents such as performance bond, insurance policy, and work program before commence the work on the site. For the difference, in PWD, it can be chosen whether to give the exclusive possession of site to the contractor, which also means that can choose to give the site possession in whole or in part. The performance bond should be submitted on date of possession stated, and other documents should be submitted within 14 days from the receipt of the letter of acceptance. In PAM, the site possession may exclusive to the contractor. The performance bond should be submitted before date of commencement, and other documents should be submitted within 21 days from the receipt of the letter of award. In FIDIT, there is an express term stated that site possession is not exclusive to contractor. The performance security should be submitted within 28 days from the receipt of letter of acceptance, and other documents should be submitted within 28 days from the receipt of notice of commencement date. In CIDB, it is also same with the FIDIT. There is an express term stated that site possession is not exclusive to contractor, and all the required important documents should be submitted not later than the date of commencement. The second issue in these comparative studies is extension of time EOT. For similarities for this contract, it is required the contractor to submit a notice in writing format with the documents such as the cause of delay by stating the specific events, estimated length of delay and EOT, the particulars that may possibly be affected, and any relevant supporting information for claim to apply for the EOT. For the difference, in PWD, it is required the contractor to submit the written notice with the related document when there is a significantly delay for the work progress, and the CA should make a decision after receive the notice of EOT. In PAM, such document is required to submit within 28 days from the date of architect instruction or confirmation architect instruction or the occurrence of the relevant event. A final claim for EOT with all relevant details should be submitted within 28 days of the end of the cause of delay. Architect should make the decision within 6 weeks after receive the document from the contractor. In FIDIT, such document is required to submit within 28 days after discover the occurrence of the events. A fully detailed claim for the EOT should submit within 42 days after discover the occurrence of the events, and the engineer is required to make a decision within 42 days after receive a claim from the contractor. In CIDB, such document is required to submit within 30 days after the occurrence of the event, and the SO is required to make a decision within 30 days after receive such document from the contractor. The third issue is practical completion. For similarities, all four contracts have stated the same requirement for the practical completion. They are: the work should complete in accordance with the terms and conditions stated in the contract. The work should pass all the testing on completion. The work should be complete within the time for completion stated in the contract, and the work should be complete and reach the certification of the CA. There is also a statement to require a contractor to submit a written notice to inform the CA for the inspection of work and the testing on completion when the contractor considers the work are being to practically complete. For the difference, PWD, PEN and CIDB is require the CA to make the decision on practical completion within 14 days after receipt the notice from the contractor. And if the work is achieved the practical completion, the CPC should be issued to the contractor. While in FIDIT, it is required a CA to make the decision within 28 days after receipt the notice from the contractor. And if the work is achieved the practical completion, the taking over certificate should be issued to the contractor. The fourth issue is the performance bond. For the similarities, all four contracts are required the contractor to submit the performance bond or performance security as a guarantee for the due performance and observance of the obligation under the contract before commence the work on the site. For the difference, in PWD is called as performance bond. It requires the performance bond remain valid and effective until 12 months after the defect's liability period or issuance of the certificate of completion of making good defects. In PEN, it is also called as performance bond same as the PWD, and it requires the performance bond remain valid until 3 months after the completion date. While in FIDIT, it is called as performance security. It requires the performance security is valid and enforceable until the works have complete and all the defects have remedied. For CIDB, it is called as performance security deposit. It requires the performance security deposit maintain the validity until the issuance of certificate of practical completion. The fifth issue is damage for non-completion. For the similarities, in all four contracts, the employer is entitled to claim the damage for non-completion when the contractor is not complete the work required by the contract within the time for completion stated in the contract, or complete within any extended time granted under the contract, and the works are not achieved the passing of testing on completion within the specific time. For the difference, in PWD, PEN and CIDB, if the contractor causes the non-completion, the certificate of non-completion will be issued to the contractor. While in FIDIT, there is no any statement that expressly to require the issuance of any certificate for non-completion to the contractor. For the claim for non-completion, in PWD, it is called as liquidated and ascertained damage, or also called as LAD in short form. For PEN and CIDB, it is called as liquidated damage, or in short form LD. In FIDIT, it is called as delayed damage. In PWD, it is stated such claim should be paid from the date of the issuance of CNC to the date of issuance of CPC or the date of termination of contract. In PEN and CIDB, it is stated that the such claim should be paid from the completion date to the date of practical completion. While in FIDIT, it is stated such claim should be paid from the date of time for completion to the date of issuance of taking over certificate. When using the standard form of contract, it will bring the advantage and disadvantage to the parties involved. The first advantage is it increases the familiarity of all parties in construction industry with this standard form of contract. It is because the terms and conditions in the standard form of contract are standardized. Every time is using the same terms and conditions to constitute such standard form of contract, so that the parties can become familiar with such standard form of contract due to frequent use, and this may lead to the increase in the efficiency of the cost and administrative. The second advantage is it is fair to all parties involved to contract. It is because in each standard form of contract, the rights and obligations of both parties are stated clearly in the contract. Each party must be strictly comply with the contract. If not, the party who in default may be imposed such liabilities and required to pay an amount for such damage that suffered by another party under the contract. This may cause the party who in default to suffer the loss of large sums of money. The third advantage is it is less ambiguous when using the standard form of contract. It is because the standard forms of contract are made by the professionals in the construction industry. The terms and conditions in the contract are made in more clear understanding to prevent the misinterpretation in negotiation. This leads to the reduction of the scope for negotiation between the parties, and the binding process can be speeding up. For the disadvantage, there is a common problem faced by the parties when using the standard form of contract. There is language problem. It is because the words used to constitute the contract usually contain a specific meaning. It may be sometimes lead to the misunderstanding by the party involved and even the breach of contract by the parties. For example, the word shall in the contract is a legally binding language that means obligated to. Another disadvantage is less flexibility. It is because the standard form of contract is standardized in the construction industry. No one except the responsible authorities can amend the terms and conditions of the standard form of contract. If any party is not satisfied with such terms and conditions, or if such terms and conditions is putting the position of the party at a disadvantage under a special circumstance for a project, the party can only choose whether to accept and enter into the contract. Thank you.